What's up everybody and welcome to the channel. In today's video, we're gonna take a look at the new Dodge Charger. This one is the Daytona with the Scat Pack and Stage 2 package. Finished off in RedEye with an MSRP at $86,000. Let's get right into this awesome electric muscle car and see what it has to offer. Now with this specification, we have the Sun and Sound package, which will feature an 18-speaker Alpine audio system along with the glass roof. That's $3,000. We have the Stage 2 package, which does bump up the power. This is $3,200. We have the Plus package, which features all the cameras, the LEDs, the technology, the power controls, ventilated seats, things like that. That's a $5,000 option. Track Pack gives it suspension, brakes, upgraded tires for $3,500. And then we have the Carbon and Suede package for $3,000. So this is a loaded specification. Let's see what more this has to offer. Powering the new Dodge Charger Daytona is going to be a 100.5 kilowatt hour battery. Obviously fully electric, so you're just going to have a nice small trunk in the front section. This one's capable of 670 horsepower with 627 pound-feet of torque. It's all-wheel drive with a curb weight at 5,800 pounds. Max range is 240 miles. It can do 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds with a quarter-mile time at 11.5 seconds. This also features Brembo brakes in all four corners with 16-inch rotors. We have 20 by 11-inch wheels wrapped in a 305 tire. And then this has a near 50-50 weight distribution with dual valve adaptive dampers. The overall length is 206.6 inches with a wheelbase at 121. Width is 79.8 and height is 59 inches. Moving on to the exterior styling with the all-new Dodge Charger Daytona, this has a super modern and yet retro vibe. Up front, you're going to notice the R-Wing. This is an aero pass-through to reduce front lift by 30% and reduce drag by 3%. Certainly gives it a very nice design. You have a nice set of LED headlights down below with a blacked out housing integrated nicely underneath that aero blade. And then we have an LED light underneath all of that. Got a forward-facing camera, the cool new logo, forward-facing parking sensors, then a massive gloss black front splitter all down below. You can see some openings down below as well, along with safety sensors, and it really does have a nice modern appearance to give it that muscle car character with still that retro feeling that we loved from the previous generation Challengers. Along the hood, you are going to see a nice bump in the center, kind of like the old school Power Dome design, and then you can see the sharp body lines cutting down towards that front. Then you can get a good look at the gunmetal gray design on the 20-inch wheels. I like the multi-spoke look, and these Brembo brakes are absolutely massive, barely fitting inside those barrels. You have a sharp body line throughout this front fender, along with that Stage 2 badge. Has a really nice character to that logo, and then some clean lines cutting through the side with a very familiar appearance. You have integrated door handles, and then this one has the carbon fiber on the mirror caps, along with a side view camera, and then all gloss black trim throughout the windows. We have the panoramic roof up on top, so it's nicely finished off in the gloss black, nice glass panel. And then for the side profile, once again, you have that same look that we're used to seeing from Challengers and Chargers from the past. Very nice muscle car appearance, and then all the roof lines cut down into the rear. You have one clean, sharp body line throughout the center of the side profile, fading into the back. And then even for these rear wheels, you get those massive brakes that just barely fit inside those wheels. For the back, you're going to get a gloss black lip spoiler and then a nice look at these LED taillights. Finish off primarily in black, and once again, I love how the LED lights come to life, lighting up the whole rear end with a nice modern appearance. Down below, you're going to see more of the parking sensors, a gloss black rear diffuser, and then the Fratzonic exhaust system. That's going to be the speaker system that you can hear from the inside and outside of this electric muscle car. So overall, I think this styling honestly is on point. It looks really good in every single angle and fits the character really well. Taking a look at the key fob, we get lock, unlock, remote start, power trunk, and panic. And then on the back side, we have some carbon fiber and the Dodge logo. If I go ahead and lock the car and double tap, we can go ahead and hear that exhaust system. In person, that feels like thunder. That is pretty wild to see. Go ahead and shut that off. You can keep the key fob in your pocket with the car lock, and then there's a pad you can just press and it will automatically unlock, and you can take a look at the interior. So this one's going to have the nice leather, Alcantara, and carbon fiber all throughout it. For the door panel, you have the smooth black leather up above with contrast stitching, then a massive panel of carbon fiber all throughout the door. That looks really cool. We have some of your basic controls down below, an electronic button to open the door, and then more contrast stitching with your padded armrest. You have quite a lot of storage in here as well, memory seating, emergency release, and then all power controls on these heated and ventilated seats. You can see all the different controls along with a leg rest up above. You have the smooth black leather with contrast stitching, and then the really nice Alcantara throughout the center with a very cool pattern to it. These are really sporty looking seats for sure, especially with the single piece backs. And then we have a nice flat bottom design for this square shaped steering wheel with contrast stitching and then all the leather accents. And then now inside the new Dodge Charger Daytona, keep my foot on the brake, we can go ahead and fire it up. So as far as the sounds go, you can adjust that due to your drive mode. So if I toggle into sport, you can probably hear idling a little bit louder and I can rev it. If I go into track mode, you can probably notice how it gets a little bit louder. And then continuing into the drag mode, of course it'll also stay with that nice V8 rumble soundtrack. And then you also have the launch control icon down here. You can press that and it will basically give you all the steps to go ahead and launch it by holding your foot on the brake, putting in drive, and doing all of that. But from all of this, we disengage the launch control. You do have your drive theme, and we can completely turn all that off to where there's no more of those sounds, regardless of the drive mode that you are in. So super cool overall to get the V8 soundtrack and then back to a quiet electric car. So for the steering wheel, you got Dodge right there. Some controls on the left side for the center screen. You're also going to get cruise control settings on the right. We have power shot, which gives you an extra 40 horsepower for 10 seconds. And then toggling this, I can basically change the display to a more simple screen and then a little bit different one with navigation in the center. So for this setup right now, as you can tell, I can scroll up and down, see some of the vehicle information. Under this one, we have lap timer, a few more things for braking distance. You have G-force meter, top speed, the power as well. So nice bit of information. We have settings as well. You can do the screen setup, messages, and then a few more adjustments for heads-up display as well. We have audio controls, driver's assistance, and then back into some vehicle information. So you can see the range on the left side. We have your speedometer on the right, a few more bits of information. These paddle shifters will adjust the regenerative braking, which is on the left side of the screen. And then down below, you're going to get the control for the trunk button up front. You have high beams, automatic light control, as well as interior lighting. We have some out of that Alcantara trim, the leather with contrast stitching. You can see the ambient lighting throughout this heads-up display system, and then more of the smooth leather all across the dash with more of the carbon fiber. It does say Daytona right there, kind of hard to see with the angle, but really cool interior with all of that carbon and lighting. You're going to see more of the Alcantara throughout the dashboard, and then the multimedia screen right in the center. Very similar to what you're used to seeing on a lot of Dodge products. So you can scroll over, you have some of the electronic information, you're able to adjust all of this. We have media controls as well, comfort settings for all the climate control, heated and ventilated seating, heated steering wheel, there's navigation, your phone integration. Then under vehicle, we have all sorts of information here. So we can go into cameras, you can adjust that, make some changes. Right here, you're gonna see a few more things for all the sensors within the car. We have the electric vehicle tab, where you can adjust your creeping, you can see power flow, driving history, a few more things. Under dashboard, we are going to get the performance pages. So right here, you're going to see all sorts of different information for lap times, track times, things like that. We have different gauges, G-force meter, as well as propulsion. Going back, you're going to get race options as well. You can see a few more things for the drag racing as well as track. We have the launch control. You can activate and adjust how aggressive you want it to launch. And you are able to do drifts and donuts by adjusting this setting right here. Backing out of all of that, you're going to have drive modes right here that you can toggle. and then you can see a good look at them, how they're going to affect the car. And you can also set up everything and adjust all sorts of different things of information. For reverse, if I go ahead and pop it into reverse, you're gonna get your backup camera, top-down view, and then all sorts of different toggles to view different views. So really good display there. Shifter itself, there's a whole hand trigger that you just squeeze. There are also some controls on the left and right side for the seats, steering wheel, the volume. We have tuning and scrolling, passenger seat, screen on and off. And then there are physical buttons down here as well for the climate control. So pretty easy overall to make any adjustment. We have your air vents, and then a couple icons down below. You can see the launch, traction control. You have plugs, wireless charging, as well as storage. More storage throughout the center, electronic park and brake, and then all the contrast materials along with more carbon fiber. We got more of that on these padded armrests, and then opening that up, we have a pretty good amount of storage space in here. And then lastly, we have a nice large glove box. One last look at the interior. Honestly, this is really sweet. This is a sweet place to be. Great use of materials, very nice fit and finish. We have that massive panoramic sunroof, all of your dome lights, the controls. You can pop that down for a sunglass holder. We have our garage door buttons, and then a nice thin mirror. The new Dodge Charger also has back seats, so you can easily get the front seats out of the way. You're gonna see 3 seats back here, all finished in the same materials with the Alcantara, the leather, as well as this contrast stitching. You are gonna get heated seat controls, a couple plugs, air vents, and then the center seat you can pull down, and you're gonna get a nice, comfortable armrest along with cup holders. And you can see speakers on the left side with armrests, and there's a pull tab behind each front seat to easily get it out of the way. So sitting into the back of the new Dodge Charger at 5'11", I will say I have quite a lot of headroom. A couple inches, maybe about 1 or 2. So I am sitting here comfortably. The whole headliner is Alcantara, so you have the really nice premium materials all throughout it. This is a little close, and when you pull this seat back, it will automatically get back to where you had it. So at my height, I have good footroom and good leg room. Overall, it's actually a really good back seat. This seat does feel a little low for my legs. However, the fact that I am sitting here decently comfortable is quite nice. You have huge windows as well, and there is access into the trunk space as well. Moving on to the cargo space, you're gonna have the button on the key fob that you can double tap. There's also gonna be a button on the rear end to go ahead and open up the trunk. As you can tell, this has a pretty nice design. It's more of a lift back. And then with the rear seats in the up position, we have 22.8 cubic feet of volume, and then it goes to 38.5 cubic feet when you fold everything down. So it has a lot of space. Obviously the ceiling is gonna be a bit low given how that weather seal dips down. Down here, you can pick this up. We have a couple extra bits of hidden storage with our charging system, and then we have a privacy cover that you can easily get out of the way. And from here, you are able to, if you can reach far enough, grab these and lower the seats. And then with them folded down, you can see just how much more cargo space you're gonna get. Honestly, you could put mountain bikes in here, snowboards in here, even use this as a utility vehicle, which is a great touch. You have the button over here now. We can just press it once, and then we can automatically close the whole rear end. But overall, this new Charger is definitely a very practical muscle car. Honestly, this car drives way more nimble than I thought. I'll leave it in the quieter mode just so you can hear me talking, but this car actually handles pretty good so far. The steering is ultra direct. Given it's a 50-50 weight distribution, this thing weighs a lot. It doesn't really feel like that. Let's go ahead and, you know what, let's do a little launch. So we'll go into track mode, and then we'll come down to a standstill, and then you can press the launch button right here, and that will give us into the right setting. So with everything, and when you let off the throttle pedal, there's a little backfire that it plays too, which is a really neat touch. But this thing's pretty darn quick. It doesn't like, you know, it's not as fast as like a Tesla Model S Plaid, but this thing does move. And it certainly has a fun factor to it. And let's go ahead, just keep it in the stealth mode, still having all the power. It does drive nice. It's so refined and quiet when, of course, you turn things off, but it takes turns really well. It comes out of turns nicely. I mean, it stays planted, especially having 305s all around. That is quite wild to have that massive of a tire, but it makes sense given this thing weighs a lot. And then for the regenerative braking, of course, you can adjust that, kind of coasting or going more into an actual regen mode. So that is a nice touch to where it kind of feels like your typical electric car, but also is fun to drive. It has a character to it. I don't think I've smiled this much in an electric car. It is quite fun. Turning circle with the all-wheel drive is really nice and tight. And then, of course, backup camera and everything all works really good. It's really easy to see around with all the sensors. And then the shifter is pretty neat. Kind of feels like an old school muscle car of some sorts. So I feel like they've really done a good job giving you like a retro car, but a modern car at the same time. And then you can feel the tires grabbing for traction just a little bit as well. So they've kind of dialed it into where it lets you have the fun factor. Of course, with the drift mode, you can do the donuts, you know, you can do drag racing stuff. You can actually drive this like muscle car owners are gonna want to drive it. The sounds are quite wild. The brakes work really well. This is fun to actually play around with and drive. It's actually got handling and performance to where it feels nice to just drive like that. But overall driving dynamics, you know, this is a cool car. I think the interior is laid out very well. It looks great in here. The cruise control works. It's comfortable. The seats are really well padded. It is ultra quiet when you turn things off to where you don't hear wind noise and road noise. I mean, you have massive tires and yet no sound whatsoever. It's just a really good cruiser car if you just want to drive it from the day to day. Visibility's all really good. A little bit of a bulky C-pillar back there, but overall, I really can't complain. You can see around nicely. The mirrors all do a great job. Now, I will say, I'm not the biggest electric car fan out there, but this has been really cool. I've been smiling a lot driving this. I still think Dodge should definitely make this with a V8. I know this is the normal version, the electric one. The inline 6-cylinder turbo is going to be available shortly as well. I still think they should come out with a V8, a manual, a supercharged V8, have the whole spectrum. I think that would just make this wildly successful because a lot of muscle car owners simply want a V8 and they're never going to buy an electric one. With that said, out of every electric car out there, this probably is one of the very few that actually has character and is really cool. I like Dodge's commercial on this. You know, it says, "We're building an electric car to save the planet from boring cars." So I think that is just a cool way to target and position this car because it's not just your typical run-of-the-mill EV. This is something that they want buyers to have fun with. You have the drifting, the donuts, the launch control, the drag racing. This is something built to have fun with. So that to me is definitely something that's quite nice. I also like with the drive modes, we can tone this thing down. Into stealth mode, I'm just in the basic auto mode. This really is a normal, comfortable car. You don't have to really think about, you know, the cool factor of it. You can just drive it and enjoy driving a nice, comfortable daily driver. The range is decent. You know, I had a nearly full charge and we were around 200 miles of range. I'm down to 176 right now. So range is fine, not exactly the most long haul geared towards the vehicle. But if you want to drive this like a normal car, you can basically do that. And then you can add a little bit of character with each drive mode. These sounds are neat. It would be cool maybe to have paddle shifting like what the Hyundai has, where you can kind of have gears. I think that could add to the character and certainly could be something they could change with this car. The decel even sounds really neat in this. So we'll go into the track mode and just get up to some speed again. It rumbles like a V8. You heard the little backfire and the wheel spin a little bit. I almost think Dodge probably programmed in to let the car spin the tires, even with traction control. I guess in its off position, but still, of course, other features are on. But it adds to the character and fun. The steering is tighter, the adaptive suspension is tighter. And I feel like the steering is something that impressed me quite a lot with how this car actually handles well. It weighs a lot, but I feel like I can kind of throw this around and have fun taking turns in this car. With the all-wheel drive, you're gonna get that confidence that you didn't normally have in a Challenger or a Charger. But now you have traction, which has been, I think, one of the biggest downfalls with a lot of muscle cars in general. So I feel like Dodge has given this something different to where when you drive this, it isn't your typical EV. It is actually something that, You can be in, you can smile, you can drive it and enjoy it as a car from the enthusiast level. Not everybody's a car enthusiast, so those are people who are gonna buy the basic cars out there, the mass-produced volume sellers. This is the car that is gonna be for the person who just kind of wants to have fun in a modern way. And to me, I feel like it's done a pretty good job with that. We'll do another little launch as we let it decel a little bit. Pressing the launch control button. It's definitely pretty neat with what it has to offer. Up to 60 pretty easily. But yeah, that is the new Dodge Charger, the new EV, the fully loaded one with all the options, all the bells and whistles. For an electric car, this is quite fun, and I would say this is in my top probably 4 favorite electric cars if you want something that's actually cool to drive and fun to drive. Dodge still needs to make this with a V8, give us that option, but as far as EVs goes, this is definitely one of the coolest ones to get, and they don't start that expensive. You can get this in the 60s, a little bit less than that as well. So overall, cool way to go. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and stay tuned for plenty more content, and I'll see you all in the next video.